Hey gang, Jason here for the love of tractors. So I am with my brand spanking new custom 8210 John Deere tractor. And like I said, this is a custom piece that I did off of an 8210 made by Ertl. Had a lot of room for improvement, so I thought, what the heck, let's just knock one out of the park here. So let's talk tractors, y'all. The 8210 from John Deere. So small horsepower in the 8000 series. So you're not going to probably do a whole lot of deep ripping with this thing, and it's not going to pull a giant field cultivator or anything like that, but it's perfect for small and medium sized equipment. And I wanted to do an 8000 series. I've done a lot of custom 8000 series over the years, but I never took one all the way, if you will. And so that's what I wanted to do with this one, and well, we'll see if I accomplish that or not. I've got some things that are going to change on it, and already. So keep that in mind as we're going through the video. But first and foremost is the front end is steerable. Now this uses my steerable front end, which you can get on my Shapeways store, link down below. Real simple to put together. It's 3 pieces. You need 3 straight pins or 3 paper clips of some sort. It's really straightforward to put together, and here's your end result, is a really nice steerable front end. So there's that. On front, so I had this decision to make, and I asked everybody on Instagram which they wanted to see, front weights or a rock box, and I'd never done a rock box on a more modern tractor. So here we go, and I think it turned out pretty sweet. I actually really like the rock box. So this is from CD Models. You can get them for a few bucks. They're very inexpensive. And if you need one, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. I can probably hook you up with a pretty good deal on one or multiple if you need multiple. To get these to fit on the 8000 series, the 8210, I had to kind of bend my brackets a little bit. So I don't know how that looks necessarily. Might have been better if I built a whole new bracket for it, but it looks pretty good, I think, in general, so I'm not going to complain too bad. I guess another thing I ought to do is kind of shift back around here. Obviously added handrails to that, and I added a fuel filler cap to that. The fuel filler cap is just a straight pin, and I drilled a little hole there in the side of the tractor, and I kind of bent the straight pin so that it would look right and kind of fit flush up against the fuel tank there. And then, of course, paint it and paint a red cap on it, and you've got a fuel cap. Really simple, nothing much to it. The handrails are also just straight pins that are bent. The downside to this 8000 series, if you will, is painting can be tricky. So I filled in the hood seam, as you can see. And that really makes these tractors look better. It's the key to the whole thing, I think. And it doesn't take much to fill in the hood seam. I think I've told you before, and maybe one of these days I'll actually do a really detailed video on how to do it. Some JB weld, a little glazing putty, you're good to go. That's what I did there. So painting the tractor, like I said, is tricky. It's disassembled, you've got it stuck together, you put everything on that you want to put on, but you're going to have these areas that have to be black, particularly around the fuel tank, particularly around the windows and the cab and all that sort of thing. You're just going to have to paint those by hand with either a toothpick or a really small brush. It's the only way around that, unfortunately. I brainstormed, I thought, well, maybe I'll tape it off, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. Taping it off, I didn't get a crisp line, even using pinstriping tape, which is the best way to get a crisp line. So ultimately I ended up doing it with a toothpick, the black areas, and it turned out fine, but it was tricky. You can see on the back I've done a 3-point hitch. Now here's the thing with that. I robbed that off an Ertl Authentic tractor, off of one of those like 4455s or whatever it was they brought out a few years ago. I've got dozens of them that I've tore apart for the tires, so I'm trying to figure out how to use the other materials that came on the tractor so that I didn't just, throw $20 away, essentially. It doesn't fit too well on this tractor, or if it does, it needs a lot of modification. So In the future, I'll be using the CD models, movable 3-point hitch kits with that. I've got a bunch here. I should have used them on this. I just should have done it in the first place. But whatever. Like I said, I wanted to reuse some parts. I did, it's going to be hard to see, but I did a realistic style hitch on the back there, to hook up to my implements. Everything I do has that sort of realistic pin hitch versus the Ertl, loop type hitch. So I guess this would be an okay time to talk about some detailing. So these lights are 3D printed, the back work lights anyway. Those red lights are just painted on there with a toothpick. Just be extra careful. You can see I did my little hydraulics back there, although they're kind of hidden by the 3-point hitch. That 3-point hitch is going to come off of here. That's just all there is to it. I'm not happy with it. It's got to go. I did cab glass. Cab glass on this tractor is tricky. That's just all there is to it. The rear has some odd shape to it. Both of the sides have odd shapes to it. It's a tricky proposition. Not saying you can't do it, because you can. And if you want to, definitely try, because here's the thing. If you screw it up, you just pop the cab glass out and you start over. And yeah, that can be frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. And the end result is worth it, in my opinion. I've got some ideas on the next one of these I do on how to take that cab glass even a step further. So we'll see. I'll just kind of keep you up to date on that, if you will. Especially if you follow me on Instagram. That's where I do a lot of my in-progress stuff. So up here, same thing. Painted on some work lights. Ooh, I need to touch that up, I see. Painted on some work lights and flashers. And then, of course, I stuck on the mirrors. And I put on a little antenna. The antenna is just a straight pin, cut and bent. And then I, of course, drilled a little hole so that it fits really well. I also detailed the alternator a little bit. That's just some paint. And then if we come over here, that's, just more of the same over here. And you may have noticed, let's see, yeah, you can probably see it there. You may have noticed I added windshield wipers. So the windshield wipers are, again, straight pins, like my favorite tool for customizing. My favorite material. Just sort of cut to length, bent, and then I use 2 of them and glue them together, and it looks like windshield wipers. I think that just really adds to the tractor. And then I guess the last thing to tell you about are the wheels and tires. So these fronts are from Daryl Stangler. You can get those off of eBay. They're neat tires. I'm not in love with them, but they work for this project anyway. The rears are off of one of these. So it's off a Challenger. You can get the Challenger, the Massey version, and either one, really sweet tractor. I'm going to do a review on one of those one of these days. Anyway, really neat tractors. These tires are super easy to pop off. You can probably do them with your hand. If you got a tire puller tool, get that up in there, squeeze, pops right off. Maybe the easiest tires I've taken off a tractor. So thank you, SpecCast, for that, because you make customizing easy that way. I did not take the fronts off of the donor tractor, and then in fact I actually just sold the donor tractor. Somebody was wanting it, so what the heck, they can have it. I don't have much use for it. Still got front tires on it and a whole bunch of flashers. So maybe they're going to put some rear tires on it and make it a nice tractor, or maybe they're going to rob it for parts like I would. Anyway, back to the 8210. I guess probably the last thing to tell you about is the muffler. Kept the stock muffler. No need to change that out. I mean, it's accurate. But what I did do to it is I painted it. Painted it black. And as I've said before in other videos, it just gets rid of that plastic look. It gives you a more metallic look or a more metal look. It just looks nicer. So, alright, gang. There is my John Deere 8210 custom, high detailed. I hope you like it. I put a lot into it, a lot of effort. Probably worked on it for 3 weeks off and on. Not solid. I mean, it's not one of those. The total hours into this tractor would be, I don't know, 3 maybe. It's not a huge undertaking, obviously, and that's probably being generous with 3 there. But anyway, nice tractor. No reason you can't do something like this yourself if you want to. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We'll do a question and answer thing here before too long. And of course, I'm always glad to help. If you would, please check us out on Instagram and Facebook, For the Love of Tractors, on both of those as well. If you are not a subscriber, would love it if you would do that. Please like and subscribe below and share with all your friends. So, all right, gang, have yourselves a wonderful day.